Is it filming? Oh no, I wasn't ready.
No.
I wasn't ready. Hey, this is Jake from Jake's Board Reviews, and today we're reviewing and checking out the Fevin Spine-Tec. Obviously, we've reviewed this one before by Channel Islands, and there's that little flame logo. I think it's one of the best logos on the market, to be honest. Like, just a fiery red flame, yellow flame. Such a good marketing logo. Like, it makes you want to buy it, even if you know you can't surf this board properly. Anyway, without further ado, let's break this board down. So, this one's a 5'10", 18 3/4 by, I believe, 2 5/16, and it comes in exactly 26.4 litres. So, if you look at this board, those dimensions are exactly the same ones that Mick Fanning rode in the Japanese Stab in the Dark. It wasn't the Japanese Stab in the Dark. The Stab in the Dark in Japan. So Mick Fanning, a Japanese Stab in the Dark, mate. Anyway, Stab in the Dark Japan, Mick Fanning rode this board and declared it a winner. So he got sent a bunch of boards with black spray like this one. So the guy who I bought it off tried to mimic that spray. And he didn't do a bad job, to be honest. It's just not looking so good over time. Anyway, so he chose this as his number one. Pukas came one of the Pukas models came second or third. I can't exactly remember. But yeah, this was his board that he chose. Anyway, after that happened in that Stab in the Dark, everyone was so keen on this board. So if I look at concave, before I talk about rocker and stuff, it's run in a single concave from nose to tail. So that's just going to help it plane over like flatter sections, especially in bigger surf. Single concaves in junkier waves are really good. They just seem to hold, and you know, you can push really hard with single concaves in your board. This is like a rounded square tail, so it's not a squash tail. It's got a bit of a hip on the side here, so that also bites for extra hold. And then that rounded square tail is more, it almost feels similar to a pintail, but it's obviously in like a squash tail form. So it's got a, if you look at it, like, it is really like a fully rounded square tail. So it's similar to like a driver in a sense. Anyway, if I talk about, so round square tail, hips, yeah, hips don't lie. And should we pause?
Nah, keep going. Hips don't lie.
Alright, so what was I talking about? So rounded square tail, that's offers that hold in bigger surf. So you can really, I felt this board on rail was extremely impressive, like on rounded turns. I haven't really ridden it too much because I'm trying to venture off high performance shortboards a bit, but yeah, this kind of this morning really surprised me. When we were doing filming, the first moments we had like westerly wind, pretty good waves, like really good waves actually, but it was a bit hard to chip in and paddle into. I'd say that though the Fevin Spine-Tec is much easier to paddle into waves than the PU. So the difference between the PU, if you're thinking about Spine-Tec, so you have a carbon strip down the middle, so it's just that flex pattern, and also the foam. It lasts you much longer, and it never, even if it's yellow like this, and this is not crazy yellow yet, but even if it is yellow like this, it doesn't really affect the performance. So all Spine-Tec and epoxy boards feel new when you ride them. So even if they're like 4 years old, the only time they get really bad is when they get really, really yellow, and you can almost just like peel them. Well, yeah, that's boards deteriorate over time. Rocker-wise, Dylan, what do you think of rocker? Help me out here. I think it's what do you reckon? It's actually got.
It's continuous rocker.
Yeah, it's continuous. It's continuous, but it's like a low. It's almost like sort of low in the front, isn't it?
It's like a slight. It's continuous pretty much the whole way through. It slightly dulls out around there for speed through the fatter sections, but she feels knifey though.
Yeah, no, knifey, definitely a knifey performance board.
Definitely medium exit and entry.
Yeah, medium exit and entry. Yeah, definitely quite a decent performance board. Wave range, you have to surf this board in 3 to 8 foot surf. I'd say in Spine-Tec you can actually get away with like 2.5 foot, but I would personally say the wave range is 3 to 8 foot for the Fever. Similar to like what the Sharp Eye 77 was. Anyway, what is similar with the Sharp Eye 77 is the wide point is actually back from center on this board. Now, wide points back from center, not my personal favorite attributes to surfboards, as I find they're not user-friendly wide points. So Level wise, I'd say honestly, like very high end intermediate, maybe just advanced surfer to ride the Fever. I wouldn't give this board to someone who's a low level intermediate because I think they'll just not want to surf because it is really high performance. Spine-Tec is a bit more user friendly, but yeah, that's the Fever. Anyway, knifey outline, definitely if you're buying it. So this one's a 510, 18 3/4. Mick Fanning's exact dims he rode in Stab in the Dark, 2 and 5/16, 26.4 litres. I'd say that's pretty spot on for what I would ride. Maybe in PU I'd actually go a little bit bigger because obviously paddle power and epoxy is always slightly better. You have a bit more float on top of the water. When you're surfing this board, it sits a bit on top of the water, but you feel like you're locked in the water when you're surfing this board. And I'm really impressed with Spine-Tec because it doesn't really feel corky like other epoxies. Like, you still feel the epoxy feel, but when you get the right conditions for this board, it can't do no wrong. Yeah, I'll definitely keep this because we're getting winter swells now and it's good to have in the quiver. I was also going to mention one more thing, is that it's holding a bit of thickness in the tail. So I find when you get your back foot a bit more forward, this board seems to go good. And you can push really hard in your turns. Channel Islands Fever and Spine-Tec. Recommended for advanced surfers. Please don't go this if you're an intermediate surfer or high-end beginner because you're definitely not going to have fun on this board. You're not going to enjoy this board if you're in that lower end skill level. So yeah, if you're feeling like you want to bump the board up a bit because you're worried about your skill level, go a stock 511. So I had the 511 in PU, but I feel obviously 510. It does hold a bit of thickness, so you'd be surprised. It doesn't really tire you out when you're paddling. I felt like the Sharp i77 was hard to paddle every day. So obviously with that board you go bigger, but this board you can stick to what you'd normally ride. Fin-wise, before I exit this holy review, the Kolohe and Dinos in a medium went quite good. They're in between like a rake set and a neutral set, so they offer that hold on turns, but it still goes quite fast and you can push as hard as you want on your turns. I would say that mosquitoes, bro, they're everywhere. Just killed one mosquito. Yeah, okay, go team. So one thing is another fin set is I would say that if you like Mick Fanning fins, I had a mate, he said this was like the best board he ever had. His name's Aaron, so if you ever watch this review, you know your name's mentioned in this review. I won't mention your surname. So, medium fins, Kolohe's felt good. I would say another fin set that works is also, what's another fin set? You could ride a...
Accelerators?
No, not accelerators are too neutral for this board.
AMs.
I'm an AM1s, so AMs in a medium in FCS2, and also I would say Mick Fanning fins, or the JS template, something like that. You need a bit of rake, because what happens, I found on the Pies 2, I just put my John Johns in that board to test, like, so I got a new pair of Tech Flex John Johns, and there was not enough hold in that board, and it made the board feel, to be honest. So that's one thing to know. If you have thicker tails, put a rake fin in your board because it'll tone down that board because it just wants to. It's a way it surfs. You can push much harder through the back, and you get extra added hold. Hold is good, I'm telling you, especially now we're in winter. If you are in winter and you get bigger waves, or you get bigger waves around home, then the hold is great. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm out. Jakeboard Reviews.